Welcome, everybody, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here tonight and also to coach our kids. And welcome to the 49th year of Newton Youth Soccer's fall kickoff coaches meeting. That's right, we are 49, which means we will be a special Jubilee year pretty soon. And if anyone's good at planning parties and wants to volunteer, please reach out because next year for our volunteer thank you party, we'd like to make it a doozy for our 50th. We're very excited about that. None of what any of us do at Newton Youth Soccer could be done without you guys volunteering as coaches and all the other folks that are involved. This is a huge club. It's a big organization. We handle about 1,250 kids a season. We play 3 seasons and do some things in the summer as well. And so it's a huge undertaking, and we know a huge commitment and hopefully a labor of love for all of you guys, as I think it has been for those of us who have coached for years and years and worn lots of different hats and been on the board. And for anybody that would like to be more involved, please do reach out to any of us. I'm Clifford Slater. I'm currently the president of the club. We rotate through these things. And there's some other board members here with us. There's David Belfort. I saw him as a panelist. He is, I've been a coach for many, many years, is currently our representative to Bays, which is our travel league that we belong to. And he's also our consigliere. He's counsel to the club, whereas a lot of us wear a lot of hats. I saw Kostas Pavlidis, who does a number of at-large things, but is also a coach of 2 teams, and also the head of our travel soccer league. Shout out to our treasurer, who's probably not on, Laura Woodward, who pays all of our IM refs $18, $20, $22, whatever they make. She writes a lot of checks and balances the books and keeps us in good standing. Jody Peters may be here. She does our community outreach. You may or may not know we give about 100 scholarships a year to kids in need. It's an amazing program that we're able to support these kids that otherwise would not have an opportunity to play soccer. We're thrilled to be able to get them out onto the field. Carl Burntop is not a board member, but he tirelessly does our equipment and is incredibly helpful and organized, and I think has about 20 patents to his name as well. So the man does not stop tinkering. Who am I missing, guys? Sid Chowdhury heads the high school program and is an amazing addition to contributor is really the word I'm looking for. Stephen Bradley is our secretary, and he's a head coach, and he's our consistently wins the spirit. What's the word I'm looking for?
Sportsmanship.
Yes, sportsmanship. Thank you, sportsmanship. I should probably, that should really be at the forefront of my mind. And we're going to get into how we represent ourselves as Newton and as role models out there. Sean Darcy is another board member, longtime coach, boys and girls side. Matt Cusick, I think he's probably back from the Cape now, rolling up his sleeves and doing some more coaching and age group coordinating. And then we have our youngest board member. We have a 22 or 23-year-old board member, new to the board, Van Sisson. We hope he gets his PhD here in Boston so he can stay with us for a long time. He's been coaching some 7th graders, and he handles our IM referees. So Van, you'll see his email maybe if your son or daughter is in 6th, 7th, or 8th grade. Those are our referees, and he manages those. And that's a lot. It's like 30 games a week, handling a bunch of 13, 14, 12-year-olds, getting them to where they need to go on time. Also helping us run the club day to day is our technical coordinator, Zach Anderson. He's probably on here somewhere. You'll see him on the fields. And then Ed Jenkinson. I know you guys have all been going back and forth with Ed. He is really the point person on running the club soup to nuts handling just about everything that one can handle. And we owe a lot to Ed, and we're thrilled that he has signed up with us for a few more years, a bunch more years, as long as he can stand us. And so, look, it takes everybody. It takes a village to handle 2,500 kids a year, 225 volunteers, 100 teams. And so we want to say thank you to everybody who is here. We have a bunch of things to go through, so I will not delay further. But again, you have any questions about anything or would like to volunteer, good at throwing parties, or want to get involved more, there's lots to do. So please do reach out and let us know. And with that, I am turning it over.
Okay, thanks, Cliff. From the car or San Francisco, whichever one you want to believe. So my name is Ed Jenkinson, Director of Coaching for the club, and I'll kind of run point on this meeting. Thank you for taking the time. The aim here is to keep it to an hour, hour and 15. But if you do have questions along the way, use the Q&A function, type it in, and we'll either answer it. Someone will answer from the panel will answer it by text, or they'll bring it up during the meeting and we'll answer it live. But this is the opportunity to ask questions, however small or insignificant they might seem. Please do ask these questions. Just throw the agenda up. A few things to cover. Some will be quicker than others. At the beginning, we'll talk some social things and some logistical things, and then we'll get into kind of the soccer related stuff as we move further down. And at the end, we'll break down each program for the intramural program by grade to give you a good idea of what you're letting yourself in for come Saturday. So the first person we want to just hand over to is Nick from the Revs, so he can do his bit. I think I updated it correct, Nick. The information should be right this time.
Yeah, you nailed it.
So
Yeah.
Nick's just going to talk briefly about one of the events we run each season and how you can get involved.
Yeah, no, thanks guys for having me on again. Yeah, it's pretty brief because I don't have like links or anything still set up on my back end. But as a lot of you know, every spring and every fall for one of the weekends of your season, we have pretty close to like 500 plus consistently every time, families and kids from Newton that come and watch a Revs game together as an organization. This fall's event is going to be on October 18th. Like I said, link still to come. So just as I get that finalized, Ed, Steve, and Bradley will all send it out. So again, hopefully you can make it. Need all the support that we can get the way this season's been going. And yeah, and I know for everybody who's been, it's you guys know how fun it is. I know obviously Costas, David, you guys have been to a bunch of games recently, and they're a good time no matter how good of a player your kids are, who you're coaching. So hope to see you there. If you have any questions, definitely reach out. And if you're interested in bringing your team to, reach out to me on the side because I'll be able to save you a lot more money on the processing fees than over the link. So yeah.
All right, cool. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, guys. Have fun in the meeting.
Okay, and then briefly, Costas, we'll talk about another fun thing we do.
Yeah, thanks, Ed. So for those of you who coached last year, you might remember that NYS partnered with GoPlay, who does sports tours all over Europe, but really focuses on soccer tours in England and the UK, to organize a trip for NYS families to go to the UK over February break. And they did some really cool stuff on that trip. They went and saw a bunch of professional games, including some English Premier League games. The kids got to have some soccer coaching sessions with some EPL and youth team academy coaches over there, which kind of gave them a different perspective on soccer. They got to do some stadium tours and a bunch of other stuff. And overall, the reports back from all the families who attended were really, really positive. And so as a club, we're partnering with GoPlay again this year to offer Newton families the same opportunity. The trip will again next year occur over February break. And it'll be a lot of the same thing, very, very soccer focused. All the activities are optional. So if you want to take an evening and just enjoy London with your family instead of doing another stadium tour, that's something you can 100% do. It's a very flexible um, trip, but the soccer activities are what the kids really enjoy, especially when they get to play games or get to train with some of the coaches over there. Um, we did want to bring it to coaches' attention because there may be coaches who want their entire team to travel together, or as many of the team who are interested in going to travel as a team. And if you do that, we could potentially organize some scrimmages and games, or GoPlay could organize some scrimmages and games uh, specifically for your team while you're in the UK as well. Darren, who runs these tours for GoPlay, is actually going to run a webinar information session next Wednesday night. We'll have some details of that coming out in the next day or two. Look for that in your email. So anyone who's looking for more information on this, that meeting's a really good. That webinar will be a really good place to start. And there's also a website dedicated to this trip where you can find out more as well. So we'll get that out to everybody. Also, that is it for me.
Awesome. I can recommend England. I've been there.
I
Yo,
if
I was
I
going to
could,
say that's the worst part of the whole thing, but that's just my Irish side talking.
I just wanted to chime in very quickly. Um, Maybe we'll get the age group coordinators, could reach out as well on the whole third grade, the whole fourth grade. It might be hard to get a team. There's 10 kids on the team. I don't know how many can travel, to the UK for Feb break, but maybe fourth grade has 10, 10 kids or 8 kids or whatever that might want to do it. So that could be another way that we could get a group together. It doesn't have to be just your team. So we'll actually try and coordinate that while we're as a next step.
Sounds good.
okay. Jyoti, Peters runs a scholarship program. So just wanted to make everyone aware of kind of some of the stuff you may not know about what we do behind the scenes, Jyoti.
Sure. Thanks, everyone. It's good to be here. We wanted to, as Ed said, we wanted to make sure that you're aware that we do have a scholarship program. We are partnered with the Newton Public Schools, so frequently we'll have kids come through the public schools to this program and be placed on a team. So just some guidelines. Sometimes when I was coaching, there were kids on my team that didn't respond or they didn't quickly respond. And I found that it was, for several different reasons. One is a language barrier. One is that they just didn't know where to go, that maybe they didn't really realize that they had been signed up or understand the process. Sometimes these kids are coming from other countries, sometimes not. So if you find that you have kids that are on your team that are not responsive, they're not necessarily a scholarship kid, but just please make sure that you make an extra special effort to reach out to everyone on the team to make them feel welcome and included. If you're not hearing from someone, please reach out to your age group coordinator who will know how to get in touch with us, either Ed, me, or the IM leader. I don't know if that's still you, Cliff, or maybe someone else has stepped in. But we do want to make sure that everyone who signs up and is placed on a team gets a chance to play and doesn't feel a barrier. So there are a couple of resources. Sometimes someone will come to you and say that they're in need. We do have used equipment that's available. And we also work with the public schools and the PTOs, and then parents who volunteer within schools to get equipment. We also, if you guys can help coordinate rides, if someone doesn't have a ride or can't get to games or practices, that would be very helpful. If people need it. And then also if there's a language barrier, someone doesn't feel comfortable communicating in English, if you can let us know, we have resources that can help with that. Also our website, I think we have it in a couple of different languages if needed. So just making sure that people know and are aware that we do have this program so that we can get as many kids out there playing as possible. Feel free to reach out to me or Ed with any questions. You can start with me. My email address is on this page. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Jyoti. So now I'm going to kind of get into some of the meaty stuff ready for the weekend. And one of the more laborious parts of your volunteerism is something you probably see me sort of harp on a little bit via email, but it's this kind of the behind the scenes requirements for volunteers in all youth sports, specifically in the scenario of the soccer organization. So you volunteer on the website, you sign up, we assign you to the team, and then there are some requirements of you set by the state, US Soccer, Mass U Soccer, and under them us, in order to be basically approved to go out and work with young players and children, both in trainings, in practices and in games. So the adult registration portion is really, really important. Now, in the intramural program, we understand that even up until a few days ago, coaches were coming on board, right? So everyone now has a coach, which is awesome, or two coaches. But we understand that some people are very late to the game. So these requirements are important. But what we're asking for in our intramural program is we have sort of a mid-September, everyone's kind of done what they need to do. And there are three elements to it. The first one is the complete Matthew Soccer annual registration. And there is a link I've sent out. It takes 2 minutes, and you basically just fill in some of your personal details, and that will trigger both your registration for the soccer year, so fall 24, fall 25, spring 26, and will also trigger a Corey and a background check should you require it. Now, some people might have done this, and Corey and background checks usually last a couple of years, but if you are new, they'll trigger. They'll run it and then they'll approve it, or they might find a reason not to. So that's step one, is to do the registration. Pretty simple, pretty quick, and free of charge. And then there are some trainings. So there are 2 trainings that are required. One is called Safe Sport, which they introduced a few years ago, which is about basically safeguarding of players and recognizing things like abuse and making sure that our players are cared for under your guidance. And the second one is a concussion course. Concussions becoming increasingly more prevalent in the game, and the training and this allows you to recognize them and understand what to do if you come across them in one of your teams. So really, really important trainings. They do take some time. Safe Sport takes, if you haven't done it before, it does take 90 minutes for the core training. But you only have to do that core training once every 3 years. And then each year after you've done the core training, there is a refresher, which takes 30 minutes. So you do the big one, year 1, year 2, and year 3, you get a quick refresher. And then the concussion one is about 30 minutes, I think. And they're both housed in what's called the US Soccer Learning Center. So it's all in kind of one place, and it will show you what you're approved on, what's valid, what year they expire. So if you haven't figured out the US Soccer Learning Center yet, have a look at it. Check the emails I've sent about adult registrations, and you'll find it. The final part of all of it, once it's all done, you can get your Corey verified, and that's an in-person or video conference step with me as the risk manager for the club. And that way, we just confirm that the Corey that you submitted matches your government issued ID and that you are the person who did it. I tick a box on my end and you're good for life. That's a one-time thing. Unless you change your legal name, it's a one-time process and you are done. If you do all 3 of those things and get them done, a couple of hours on the computer, listening through some of the trainings, and you verify your Corey, you get basically a credential, which you see on the right-hand side. There's my example from last year. And the idea is that you wear this when you do practice and games, and it indicates to everyone that you are cleared, you are approved, and you are allowed to work with young players. So a lot of this is around safeguarding our kids, making sure that the people that we have working with our players on a daily and weekly basis are appropriate. So they take some time. We're not asking for everyone to be done and dusted by Saturday. That would be ideal, but realistically, we're hoping that we can all get this done mid-September. I've sent out a bunch of emails on this. If it hasn't got lost in the shuffle, you're not sure, you'll see it from me again. And if you're wondering, hey, what do I need to do? What's left for me to do? Please reach out. The idea is here, once we kind of get everyone close to being done, I'll send these credentials to you and you can print it off, keep it. We can give you a lanyard and a plastic sleeve to keep it safe, and you can wear it on game days and be compliant. So, kind of a hidden, exciting part of volunteering, and not the most enjoyable, but a really, really important part of working with young players. Is someone monitoring Q&A? Just stop me if there are any.
Yep, no questions.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about some logistical stuff. So equipment. So I don't know if anyone has picked up that bag yet. Probably not. But if you are coaching 2nd through 6th grade, you get a coaching bag, one bag per team. For the season. So you collect it, you keep it for the season, and in that bag, you will get cones, pennies, black pennies, orange cones, some ice packs, and goalie gloves. I said 3 to 6. If you're 2nd, all the age groups apart from 1st get goalie gloves. You won't get soccer balls. We ask players to bring the soccer balls because soccer balls go missing all the time. They're expensive, so we ask the players to bring their own balls. And then for practice, everyone should have a ball, and games you can pick the best couple to throw out and play with. 1st grade there is no equipment, but 2nd through 6th there are. Now, if you are a team that has a practice during the week, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, you do have the ability to pick up your bag before the weekend. Carl Burntop, who Cliff mentioned, is our equipment manager, and his email is down there. So if you're, say, practicing tomorrow and you want to grab your bag before you go out and do it because you need some cones and pennies, email Carl and he'll set up a time to either leave it on his porch or connect with you to go and pick it up. Should you not want to do that and you're happy just to collect before the first game on Saturday morning, any bags that have not been collected, Zach and I will deliver to the field. So if you're playing at Oak Hill at 9 a.m., by the time you arrive, there'll be a pile of bags that you can collect and keep, and just take one for your team. So if you don't want to grab your bag before the weekend, you don't have to. It'll be there on Saturday morning. And the other option is come to a pickup event, come to an equipment night. We have 2, one on Friday coming at 7 till 9 and one on Saturday morning, 10 to 12. Now, the Saturday one might not be great timing because everyone will be out playing, but if you want to come grab your bag Friday night, please do. And what we also want to do for all of our coaches is get you a piece of apparel for you. So something to wear with the logo. So, the pickup nights are great times to do that because Carl has a garage full of polos and t-shirts and this, that, and the other. He's desperate to also get rid of one, but also we'd love to get you outfitted so you look the business. So long rambling way to say, come to a pickup event if you can. If you can't, your bag will be at the field. If you want the bag before you start on Saturday, you want to get it for practice this week, reach out to Carl. Kind of went about that roundabout way, but yeah. I think you get the point. Uniform. So
Question, Ed, the question on the chat is, at what age group do we use size 4 v size 5 ball?
Size. So 1st and 2nd grade are size 3, 3rd, 4th. The rest are size 4. You don't use a size 5 until 7th grade. So if you are 1st and 2nd, size 3. Everyone else is size 4. Uniform. When people register this, they are told what uniform they need, but these are the mandatory items. The orange NYS jersey is the only apparel piece we ask people to purchase and make sure they have for the program. Every player needs shin guards during games and practices and appropriate footwear. I put a picture of cleats up there. Sneakers are okay, but it's either a soccer cleat, a pair of sneakers, something appropriate that's going to allow them to play on grass during the season. Everything else is kind of optional. If we're keen on looking like NYS and colors are important, then black shorts, black socks would be great. But the only piece we ask our players to purchase is the orange jersey and some safety equipment in the guards and footwear obviously is needed. The question we often get is if everybody's running around in orange pins for the games. You know, there's a home team and an away team for our games. If you're an away team, you'll put on a black penny, which is in the coach bag. So you'll play black v orange during the games, but everyone is orange on the base, and then pennies will allow teams to differentiate from one another. The link for the store is there. Turnaround time is usually pretty quick. No one gets oh my goodness, there's my mouse wheel. No one gets names on the back of their shirt, just numbers, and they're random. So just need to get on there and order it. All right, last slide for me for a bit, and then I'll pass over to Zach.
Ed, last question on the equipment. Where's the pickup event Friday, 7 to 9?
23 Turner Terrace in Newton. So on the north side of the city. Little cul-de-sac. You can park there. I'll be there. Zach will be there. Carl will be there. And we'd love to see you. 23 Turner Terrace.
Ed, a couple more questions real quick. One was to send the deck after the meeting, which I know you're going to do, so everyone will have that.
Yeah.
And then the second one was, do we have a standardized email that we can use for coaches to share, like with all the information they need to send to their parents?
No, I don't think we do have a standardized email. But I think we're going to talk about meetings and
Yeah, they can take the coaches meeting agenda and they can turn it into an email.
Yeah. You'll see in a second, Rafa, there's a template that we put together for coaches meeting, which we'll get to in a second. We recommend everyone does. And basically if you follow that step by step, it's got everything you would need to tell your parents.
Good point. Okay, so just thinking about you as a coach on kind of what we're looking for in terms of organization and what the player should expect to experience under your leadership are kind of these 4 points, our key philosophies. And you could deep dive and go really heavy into all of these, but the headlines should hopefully capture what we're looking for and what the expectation is and what the player should experience during their time with you. And this goes from first all the way through sixth. It doesn't really change. Now, the big one for us as a club, and especially in our intramural program, is we are a development club. The intramural program is a great sort of environment for players to flourish and develop in a sort of lower pressure environment. We do have a travel program third through eighth grade, which is for the players who are hungry to be in a more competitive zone. But the development of our players should arrive at our club, and when they leave, whether that's 6 months, a year, 10 years later, they should be a better player, have a better idea of what it is to be a soccer player, understand the game, and know that winning is fun, but improving as a team and a player is important. And one of the ways you can do that is always find the positives. The intramural program is organized by school for the most part, so you might get fortunate and have a really positive and technical and advanced team. You might have a team of beginners, depending on the makeup of your group. So, every team is different, and finding the positives in your season is important. And that doesn't mean we want to go and win every game. And if we win every game, we're great. It means finding the things that the little incremental changes in players. That if they come back every week and win, lose or tie, you're doing a great job. And if we get the improvement and they want to keep playing, you're doing your role as best you can. We're positive. We're not a screamy, shouty, do this, do that kind of environment. So when you go play a game on a Saturday, and for some kids, this might be the first game they play against another team in a team. It might look a mess, and we're not going to worry about it. We're going to pick on the few bits and pieces that are great and emphasize them, and then talk about the other bits and pieces on the sideline calmly, and at practice the next week if we can. Prioritize the fun, prioritize learning, prioritize growth, and everyone will feel good about where they are, whether they win, lose or tie. Your teams are going to play different positions. So whether you're playing first grade 4v4 or you're playing sixth grade 9v9, give everyone an opportunity to play different positions. um, allow them to develop in different areas. It makes a more whole player. I coach in the high school program, and we have players who come thinking they're one thing and learn very quickly that if they can't adapt and play and have an idea of other positions, it's it's going to hurt their opportunity to contribute. So it's really important that our players experience different parts of the field and understand the different roles within a soccer team, whether you're playing 4 on a side or you're playing 9. And everyone gets to play. And this is the crucial part in this program, especially is, everyone should get half the game every time. People have chosen this program because they want their kids to enjoy the game of soccer. Some kids might end up playing more. You might have a game with only a couple of subs and they rotate in and out, and some kids get more time. But the aim is every player gets half the game every week, and do the best you can to be kind of fair with your playing time because everyone gets to play. And then the last part is just about remembering who we are as a program and a city, and every time you step out on to Oak Hill or to Manhattan or wherever you end up practicing, people are watching, people are seeing us, and they see the orange jerseys and they see the logo and they recognize who we are, and we just want to make sure we're good tenants of the fields we're at. We represent the city. We clean up after ourselves. We don't leave trash on the fields. We look the business. We act appropriately, and I think that's a really important part of NYS is the soccer's the soccer, but representing NYS and representing Newton is also important, and a good teaching opportunity for the players as well. So lots of kind of buzzwords and right and kind of good feeling stuff there. I think if you remember nothing else and you can come back to these 4 kind of points during the season and say, hey, am I doing these? And the answer is yes, then you're doing a great job and we're pleased to have you. And if it's hey, you know what, I'm not doing that enough, then it's a good opportunity to reset. So yeah, that's kind of the philosophy. Zach, Costas, anything to add there before we move on?
I'll get there.
Just me speaking at a webcam. All right, I'm going to pass over to Zach. He's going to talk about practices and games, and what we try and do here is give you an overview of the whole program and the philosophies of each of who NYS is. Some of this may be more relevant for others. So if you're a 3rd through 6th grade coach, you have a practice day in addition to your game, and then the 1st and 2nd do not. So whilst some of it's all kind of relevant, some of it might be more specific to your grade group, but it's important, I think, for everyone to hear. Zach.
Yeah, thanks, Ed. So for the typical practice day that you have, the biggest thing as a coach is being prepared. So again, that starts before the practice. So know who's coming. Make sure you have an idea if you're going to have 4 players, or if you're going to have 12 players, just because then you can plan your session according to that. We're going to talk later about the team snap, and Ed will talk more about that and how we can figure out who's going to be where and whatnot. And that's just an easy way to keep track of the numbers that you'll have for your practice. Again, planning the session is super important because you don't want to go in there and be like, all right, what am I going to do today? Because then the kids kind of get all antsy. They want to play. They want to do something. And it's hard to bring them back after that part. So having a plan is super helpful. And again, during the time, you want to get there early so that you can set up. You've got time to kind of reflect, all right, I'm going to set this drill up here, this one up here, and then you can kind of build the rest of your day around that. So again, you're not kind of killing dead space with setting up a new drill or setting up whatever else you might need. As players are arriving, make sure you're just trying to address them, say hi to them, say, hey, how was your day? Just, again, trying to create that relationship between coach and player. And as the practice is going on, just make sure you're still keeping to your objectives. If your practice plan is passing one day, try to keep it to passing, then maybe the next day you do shooting, but just try to keep it consistent so that they can learn as you go or as you progress. And 2 of the biggest things, obviously, is keeping the players engaged and making sure it's a fun practice for them. Because again, we've seen it at all levels. Kids can be distracted very easily. So again, if that little dead 5 minutes or whatever, you want to keep them back in there because it's going to be hard for you to re-rein them back in. But, and again, making it fun, having them compete at a high level, having them just, again, smiling on their face, moving around, having a good time while they're playing soccer. Dave, did you want to add something about during practice?
I just wanted to say I really I've done this for all three of my kids, and the planning is critical. And making drills that are competitive and that they can score points sometimes really motivates these kids. If you see some lethargy, turn it into a game. I mean, these are kids, and they like to compete. And it's worked for both my boys and my girls teams. So I always have a sheet of paper with some drills on it. I try to use the same space and sometimes reuse the same cone structure. Sometimes I expand it. Sometimes I make it smaller. And I routinely call on Zach and Ed, our two professionals, if I find that my team is lacking in a particular way and I want to come up with a drill that addresses it, or I look it up online, but preparation is critical. They'll appreciate it because you'll have a very smooth practice.
Yeah, just like Dave said, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I can help with any type of practice plan. I've been coaching now for about 8 to 10 years, so I've got a bunch of drills up in my head that I would love to get out on the field and try again with a different level. Just continuing with this after practice, make sure you're just debriefing, seeing what worked, what didn't work, seeing if maybe one player needs the competitive edge, like Dave was saying. Maybe one player doesn't like that. Just again, make sure that all the players are safe when they're leaving. Make sure they're with a responsible adult. Just make sure everyone is good with a ride. And then again, just as you can self-reflect, go back and see, again, what worked, what didn't work, what can I improve as a coach, just moving forward to that next session. All right, and then game day. So game day, again, team snap, again, make sure you know who's going to be there. But preparation is, again, crucial. Make sure you know who's going to be the home team, who is the away team. The away team will always wear pennies. I mean, that's only a case if the home team doesn't, or the away team doesn't have their pennies. Then ideally we'll make it work. But the away team should have their pennies. Make sure you know so that you can be prepared. The goals might not be in place. There's a lot of people using these fields. Please help out moving the goals. Grab a couple adults to help out. Just move them right back to their spaces and put some sandbags on them. And again, arriving early, being prepared. Make sure you're ready for the kickoff 20, 30 minutes beforehand. Oak Hill does get pretty crowded, so I'd recommend getting there a little earlier to find a good spot to park. And then as soon as the squad gets there, start warming up. One thing I like to do is get them into a quick dynamic and then start moving the ball around as soon as possible. Just whether it's passing, whether it's like a shooting line or anything like that, just get them touching the ball, get them ready for the game. During the game, again, going back to the positive coaching, just make sure we're constantly encouraging and letting them make their own decisions. We don't want to dictate how they play on the field. We want them to make mistakes. We want them to learn from these mistakes so they can grow as a soccer player. After they've made those mistakes, correct them or reward them and just, hey, maybe this one didn't work. Try a pass next time to the left, and just constant positivity rather than, oh my God, that wasn't it. That's not the right move. Sub them out. That's not positive coaching as we talked about. It says no robots. This one was always a tricky one for me. That just means you're not saying the same thing over and over again, like run, or kick. I think the kids know that they need to do those things when they're playing soccer, but again, that's not positive coaching. It's not helpful coaching. Managing subs, again, make sure everyone is playing as much as they can. Make sure that it is even times as they go. It might not work out some weekends, whether subs permit that or not, but ensure it's about the same every single Saturday. And again, as a coach, feel free to enjoy, just sit back, again, relax, let them do their thing, let them play. If they have questions for you, awesome. If not, let them do what they need to do. After the game, you can do a quick high five line, applaud, good game, Barcelona, that kind of stuff. I like the 1, 2, 3, cheers, Newton. That's always a good one too. Debrief super quick with your squad, because again, there's going to be another team coming on right after. Just say 2, 3 positive things that worked, and then move on. Because you can work on anything that you need to work on at practice for the next time, or you can mention it before on the Saturday dip for the first or second graders. Again, monitoring players that leave, make sure they're safe, have a ride home. It will be a crowded field that day. So again, it might be a big kind of a mess, just try to monitor them the best you can. Use your coaches, use your other adults that are on the sideline to help out. And just at the end, like Ed said earlier, just make sure we're cleaning up the spaces around us, the spaces that we're using. Respect those locations, because again, another team's going to come on there, and if there's orange peels all over the place, it's not going to be a good setting for the next team to play. And then again, back to reflection. Just reflect what went well, what can we improve, and I think the best time to talk about that is at your next practice or the next time you'll meet them before the game. I think that is the best way to go about it when it comes to coaching after a game.
So going back to the robot, and I will edit this and remove that, Zach, because I know you hate it. But the one example I like to use here and what we talk about when we talk about have kids let them make their own decisions is a player, whatever grade, will be on the ball 5 yards in front of the goal, and every single spectator and the coaches will shout, shoot it. Now, hopefully the players at that point know that they're supposed to shoot the ball into the goal. And what we're trying to have them do is make that decision for themselves. And if they're constantly being told what to do, and shoot it is the obvious one, it can make them reliant on that, and they don't make their own decisions. And hey, you know what? If he doesn't shoot it and makes a decision to pass, and the opportunity goes away, that's when you can coach. And just telling them what to do is not coaching; it's telling them what to do. So try, with robots, the comment there means allow them to do their thing. And if it's wrong, that's okay. And then you can go coach that, and maybe not in the moment, but when they come off and say, hey, you know what? You were in front of goal there. I think you had a chance. What could you have done? And that's the coaching that you can do instead of telling them in the moment. And it's very tempting, right, to do that or say, hey, why didn't you shoot? But that's not coaching. That's kind of dictating and getting you having 9 little robots who know exactly what the coach wants them to do all the time. So that was kind of the phrase there.
Yeah, if I can just chime in for 1 minute to support that. American games are very specific about who goes where, when, and how. And so we are used to coaching very specific things, like when a single gets hit to right field and there's a runner on, the throw goes to the second baseman, the shortstop backs up the second baseman. Where does the catcher go? Where does the pitcher go? Everybody has a spot to move to, or obviously football is sort of combat chess. Soccer is a very creative game. And so letting the kids think for themselves about what they're supposed to do is something we're trying to foster in practice. And then you want to get away from, shouting instructions at them during the game, because then they're listening to you, or, the same thing with their parents, and they're not thinking for themselves and looking to be creative. And so then the idea, if there's a coaching point you want to communicate when they come off, one trick I learned early on was the sandwich instruction. The sort of you put the instruction in between two compliments. It's rarely a common thing in teaching and coaching, but hey, great job, Timmy. Did you see that? Johnny was over there on the right side, or what did you see when you were standing in front of the net all by yourself with no goalie? And just awesome work, just way to hustle, right? So the instruction goes in the middle, and that sandwich thing has served me really well, because the kids will be super receptive to what you have to say. And the last point I would like to mention is back on the practice piece, just as a general structure, which you absolutely do not have to adhere to this, but I found it always to be instrumental to start the practice with everybody touching a ball. So all the kids are bringing a ball, and so you can there are sort of drills where it's we're doing toe taps, and now we're doing kettlebells, and these different touches, or just everyone dribbling in a circle or dribbling through cones. So everyone's on the ball, touching the ball for the first 10 or 15 minutes. That gets them moving, that gets them into it. Then you have a little break, and you set up the next thing, which could be, where a semi-competitive thing where you're trying to complete passes, or you're trying to connect with each other, or maybe it's a 2v1. And then, the idea is that leads up to some type of small-sided game or scrimmage or something at the end. So a couple so there's a progression and gets more, a little bit more and more competitive. And there was this one thing that I found on the internet, um, 15 years ago, and it probably doesn't exist anymore, but it was called 64 small-sided games. If you just maybe Google that, there's a PDF out there, and each page has a little game, and some of them are sort of almost like tag with a ball. Some of them there's free your teammate. Kids are lined up, but if you can get control of the ball, you pass to your teammate who can't move on the outside, then that frees them to come in. And there's just all these creative games. Just looking through the games and maybe only pick 5 that you like could be really instrumental to you in helping you get your arms around some competitive, fun soccer related events that get the kids thinking and being creative. So anyway, I will get off the soapbox with just a few ideas for how to keep things moving.
Yeah, all good ones, Cliff. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so Dave is going to step in kind of for the next few slides here. So we're going to talk some new bits and pieces that have come in to soccer in Massachusetts and across the country in terms of kind of like, well, I'll let Dave explain.
Thanks, Ed. So the pregame sportsmanship announcement and handshake effectively flips the post-game handshake to the beginning of the game with the addition of the reading of a statement that the league has implemented. That statement has evolved. It existed last year. It's now being implemented throughout the club, both on travel and intramural town. And basically, you line the two teams up facing the parents so that they too can hear the sportsmanship statement. And the home team reads the statement, which we've got a slide for you coming up. And the teams then shake hands and the game begins. This was implemented to effectively reduce the tension that occurs after the game. Players may still shake each other's hands after the game, but there will be no formal line where those of us who have coached for many years know there's all sorts of shenanigans and misbehavior, and there's a lot of tension in those lines when there's a hotly contested game. 99% of the time, that never happened, but the rule is now do the line before, and then it's less formal afterwards. Next slide, please. Here's the statement. And MISA, the state soccer organization, in addition to our local league, which is Bays, implemented the requirement. Some folks put this sportsmanship statement, which I'm not going to read, on the back of their lanyard, their ID that DOC Ed showed you earlier tonight, so that you have it at all times. But do it however you want. You can have a little laminated card for the kids to read, but you do need to read this. And the whole point here is to reduce sort of the toxic behavior and the hostility that we see sort of increasingly pervade sports of all kind, including soccer. Next slide, please. And in addition to this new pregame handshake, the reading of the statement, we now have a completely revised what's now called referee abuse prevention policy. And the point here is that referees are, for the most part, children, especially in IM. Several of our board members have kids, mine refs, Costas refs. And we see that these kids are extremely prone to intimidation when any sort of communication, particularly those that are aggressive or loud, but often any communication from a large adult is made towards a referee. So the rules, which used to be called the zero tolerance policy, which is still in effect, there is no tolerance to communicating with the ref, and there are some limited exceptions, which I'll outline in a moment. But they're intended to protect the referees, because the number one reason these kids quit is because an adult screamed at them, or showed disrespect, or showed that they were unhappy with a call. So there really is no communication with these kids. Let them do their thing. And the penalties for violating this policy are fairly significant. And before I get to those, there are some exceptions to communicating with the referee. So you can still communicate if the referee initiates the conversation. You can still point out an emergency on the field if somebody's hurt or there's an injury and the referee doesn't notice it and stop play. You can point that out. And that does not include sort of a hard foul. If there's a hard foul and a kid falls over and gets back up, that's not a license to speak to a referee. That's not an emergency. That's sports. But if there's an injury, you need to alert the referee. If there's severe misconduct, discriminatory words, things that are abusive, you can tell the referee that you'd like to report misconduct, but that's all you say: referee misconduct report. That's it. And then the referee needs to initiate further communication. There's ample opportunity after the game to report the misconduct, or, by the way, if the referee does an inadequate job or a wonderful job, there are reporting mechanisms both to Ed, to the head of Intramural, and through the state, the league. So there's plenty of ways to report this after the fact. It does not need to be done there and then. Substitutions is another exception. You can alert the referee to a substitution. And there are certain points of clarification, and I hesitate to mention these because they're really not necessary. Your kids ought to be communicating with the referee, not you. But a restart direction, like does the throw in go this way or that way, or a direct or indirect kick, that is a communication that's permitted, but that really should come from the kids. And then how much time is left is also allowed. That's it. But it still remains zero tolerance. Ed, if you go to the next slide, please. And that's been enhanced with these both physical and non-physical penalties. So single offenses all the way through multiple offenses have multipliers. And the biggest multiplier is because you've got a youth, a minor, who's a referee. So if a minor reports one of these, you are going to be suspended for a minimum of 2 games and up to 2 years. And these are fairly significant penalties. I'm happy to report that Newton had 0 violations of the RAP policy last year. So for the most part, people are not doing this. And it's the rare exception that we're going to need to deal with this. If there is a violation, there are all sorts of procedures by which appeals may be filed, and the consequences are independent of if you get a red card. Those are separate penalties, but the minimum game suspension and the time can run. You can get both of those. You can get both of those penalties at the same time. So it can be 6 games and say 6 months for an aggressive, attacking, or derogatory statement that's non-physical. And just a final point on this slide. It's intended to protect the referees, and so if you are found to have violated either the physical or non-physical provisions, the penalty applies to both your town team, and if you play for a club team at the same time, it applies across all U.S. soccer jurisdictions. So you're going to be out for 2 games in all of your clubs. Any questions on that in the chat, Ed? Zach? All right.
I think so. I mean, I think what is important to add here, just I don't know if I added a referee slide later on, is that so we have referees in this program for games in second grade through sixth. First graders do not. But some of these referees will be completely fresh to this. They're receiving their training on Thursday and Friday this week for games on Saturday, and some will be very new to this and scared and not strong, and sometimes will be not very good, to be honest. So what we're trying to emphasize here is an environment of support. The referees will do their best, and certainly in the fall season, a lot of these kids may not have done this before, and they'll be fresh to it. So supporting them is important. So letting them do it, and even if they're wrong, that's okay. And if you have a referee who is way out of their depth and needs some more support, that's when you feed that back to me or Van, who's the IM ref coordinator. I think his email's on here, and that's the process for feedback. It's none of the other stuff. And I don't know if Dave did mention it, but this also applies to it's coaches, players, and spectators, which kind of brings us on to the next part. Dave, am I cutting you off, or you got more?
Not at all.
No,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
So the next part is just to quickly touch on spectators, because oftentimes our coaches are very well behaved and positive and enthusiastic, and we get into trouble because people on the sideline, the spectators sideline, either did not get the message about how to conduct themselves, or can't contain themselves and don't feel like they're under the same sort of guises as responsibilities as coaches. So this is a great one to share with your families, and we'll talk about team meetings, Costas, hopefully in the next slide. But this is what the expectations are for the spectators, and it is simply to be there to support, cheer, and whoop and get excited about the play that's happening in front of them. And it is not to be the coach, because that's your role, or say anything to the referee, or say anything to the other players, or say anything that could bring a negative feeling towards the game. And it's you'd be surprised, and sometimes as a coach you can be so caught up in what's going on and what you're doing that you might miss things, but trying to have this information given to your families before the game one, it is a great way to kind of stop it before it happens. And I don't, that might have been your agenda item, Costas. I'm sorry, but this definitely is your agenda item. Which brings us on to team meetings, which is something we really, really encourage.
Yeah, thanks, Ed. Yeah, so I'll try to keep this pretty short, but we do encourage you to have a meeting with your parents before you get too far into the season. You can either do that via Zoom this week, or really the easiest way to do it is just ask parents to be there maybe 5-10 minutes earlier than typical for your first game. And just kind of pull the parents to the side and kind of lay out some of your expectations for the season. This document is obviously in this PowerPoint, which will go around to all of you. It's also, I believe, on the NYS website. Ed can correct me.
What I need to do is amend it slightly for IM, but this is very travel heavy, but I will do that.
Yeah, and this looks like a really dense document, but it's really just supposed to guide. Like, that should be a very conversational flow with your parents, just kind of laying out your expectations. Probably the most important things to hit are things like how you're going to communicate with them so they know what to expect, what you expect of them from your communications, whether you expect responses or whether you're going to be sending, communications as information only. Definitely sideline behavior, how you want them to support you with the kids during practices and things like that. it's not important that you hit every bullet and every micro bullet on this page as much as you pick the things that are important to you as a coach to really drive home to the parents. But just like your kids, parents aren't going to remember more than a handful of things. So pick the ones that are most crucial to you. I think the ones I gave you are probably the ones that are usually most important to me. But it is really important to have that meeting and just kind of establish what you want from the team and what you want from your parents for the rest of the year. It kind of sets the tone. If in 2 or 3 weeks' time you don't like the behavior that's happening on the sideline and you want to talk to them about it, it's going to be much easier to have that conversation with them, having kind of set the expectation in that first meeting, than if that's the first time they're hearing about it in 3 weeks.
For sure. Okay, just conscious of time, so I will just step on this, touch on this briefly. So just some key dates and schedules. We do start Saturday and we go all the way through November 8th. The only weekend we do skip is Columbus Day weekend. You know, pending any rainouts that we know, you know, if there's makeup, sometimes we do play that weekend, but we try and keep it open and add on at the end if we get any rainouts. There is a practice schedule for teams that are practicing. So again, 3rd through 6th, you can look at it on there. And it's useful just to check that before you head out to your field to see if you're sharing. You know, game schedules were published a few weeks back, and they are accessible. You know, in your account, if you log into your NewtonSoccer.org account, you can click the team you are a part of. It will bring up your team directory page, and then there is a calendar which will give you all your dates. All the players in your team have access to that same calendar. They just need to go and find it, or you can put it on TeamSnap and use it that way. First grade is a little bit different because you don't have a rotating schedule. Your kind of schedule is in your team name. The time and field each week does not change, and there's more kind of information for first grade coming. But be ready to go Saturday. Everyone is on TeamSnap. Everyone was set up on TeamSnap. You know, if you were the only volunteer for your team, you ended up being the owner of that TeamSnap account. So you would have received an invite. If you don't find it, can't find it, or didn't see it, I can resend it. You don't have to use TeamSnap, but it is a real good free tool that we provide to every team to use to track availability. You can use it as a text kind of communication tool. You know, shows your roster, contact details. If you are the team owner of your TeamSnap, you can add people to it, other family members, other coaches. But check out to see if you receive that, because I did preload all the players in and the coaches. So if you need any help, just reach out. It won't auto sync schedules with our system, I don't think, but you can obviously load in your games and track availability that way. It's kind of a cool way to do it, and on your mobile phone. And then in addition to that, I just wanted to point out the resources you have available to help you on your journey here. So, you know, we're not saying come Saturday, good luck, see you later, have fun with it. You're on your own now. This is a volunteer role that we want to provide as much support as we can do. Part of it was this meeting tonight to hopefully set you up ready to go, but also the website, there is a resource center on there under the coaches tab that we're going to work hard to update and improve and get some content on there, including things like the team meeting sample, team sheet. So if you want to print out some paper documents to work out who's your starting team and who's your subs and how rotations happen, and then basic like session plans as well. We'll get paper session plans on there and some video links that will help support you. You know, first and second grade get a lot of professional support. If you've been through the program, you know. If you're new to this, you'll see it come Saturday that we do partner with a couple of different professional coach organizations to give you Saturday morning support and guidance. They're not replacing you, they're in addition to you. So, you know, please work with those guys, and we'll talk about that as we get into the grade group breakdown. And then 3rd and 6th grade have access to me and Zach that you know, as much as you need. If it's offline support, you might have a practice you need to help with, or there's a behavioral issue you need support with, or you know, you want to change your day for practice, you can come to me and we can figure out a better solution. But Zach is always available. I am always available. Feel free to contact us. And if you really need some help at practice, you have an unruly group, and that does happen. and you need some help kind of righting the ship, or you just want another body there for a session here and there, that's also something we'll do our best to help with and do that. Zach and I have standing obligations that doesn't mean we're available every day at 5 p.m., but we will do our best to offer support when we can. So don't feel like you're alone. We want to make sure this is fun for you as it is for the players going through the program. Okay, if there's no more general questions, the next part of this is, hopefully the next 15 minutes, maybe less, will be we just want to do each grade, break down kind of how they change and what you can expect for your particular program, because we've got coaches first through sixth here. And if you don't have any questions after that, and if you're a fifth and sixth grade coach after I've done my little spiel here, feel free to drop off and get on with your evening. I will send this out tomorrow as a document, and also the video recording. I'll share the link for that. So if you want to listen to me drone on again, you can. But we're going to just break down per grade kind of what to expect, where you're going to go, what you're going to see, how it's going to be. And then, feel free to throw questions in as you go. And Zach, Costas, if there's anything in the chat, Cliff, you have anything to add, please do. But we'll start with fifth and sixth grade because it's our oldest group and sort of has the least amount of information to supply. But you guys play 9v9, so 8 players on the field plus your goalkeeper. You have a weekly practice, which hopefully at this point you've either set or you need to set. You can come to me and I'll help you do that. Your games are at Oak Hill, and they're either at 9 or 10:30. We have 2 fields, D1 and D2. So on the schedule, you should see D1 or D2, 9 or 10:30. Your games are 1 hour, 2 30-minute halves with a 5-minute halftime. And we will provide an equipment bag, 1 per team, either before the weekend at a pickup night, or we'll drop it off kind of right on Wheeler Road there, where the bottom spectators is, right on the bottom left of this image. There'll be hopefully either between the 2 D fields or right on that entryway there'll be a pile of bags, and you can pick one up if you don't collect it before, 1 per team. There is a rules document that I've linked on here that you can click on tomorrow that will give you some more kind of specifics on the rules for your particular grade of play. But other than that, we're looking forward to Oak Hill being there 9, 10:30 in the morning. Zach did mention earlier about fields and setup. He and I spent some good time this afternoon rather, setting this up. We moved all the goals into place with sandbags. There's a good chance come Saturday morning they won't be there where they're supposed to be. So if you have the 9 a.m. kickoff and you roll in at 8:55 expecting to be ready to go, you might find your goals have gone walkabout. So the recommendation generally is 30 minutes before kickoff arrive. So 8:30, make sure the goals are where they need to be. Players arrive, warm up, get going right and kick off. And that's it. Kevin did a great job putting this team together super fast. It was I know your rosters are kind of big, but I think we got a lot of players and a lot of kids in the door for 5th and 6th grade, and it's always fun to see. That's what I want to say. The only thing I will mention just briefly is you'll see on the map here that there is a designated sideline for spectators and teams. Do your best to enforce this, right? We want the teams together on one side of the field, spectators on the other side of the field. If it goes funky and D1, D2 are different, that's okay. But the idea here is to keep teams and spectators separate so you can coach without mum and dad looking at little Johnny and he's got his eyes wandering and he's not really listening, and you don't feel like you can do your job. So teams on one side, spectators on the other, and Zach, you'll see Zach in the morning there to help out if anything you need.
Yeah, what happens, even if it's 5th and 6th grade, but certainly 1st, 2nd, 3rd, the kids will go to their parents if they're on the same side, and they'll stay with you and the team if there's a team side and there's a parent side. So that's an important thing to start to establish. Otherwise, they'll be wandering around, as Ed said. And the only other thing I just want to chime in on before we start releasing the 5th and 6th grade coaches is this idea that whether it's part of the communication with the parents, this was always important for me personally, was first of all for myself, to plan to arrive, early, whether that was a half hour before game time or 15 minutes before practice, but also to communicate to the parents, to ask them to plan to arrive ahead of schedule, because nothing's more disruptive than a practice that starts at 4:30 or 5 o'clock, and then kids come streaming in, 15 minutes, 10 minutes into it. It's another reason why it's good to start with these things where everyone's on the ball, so you're not relying on everyone being there for something that at the very beginning they might be straggling in. But you reiterate, as Costa said, what's important to you. For me, it was always people being there at the beginning so that we can get on with what we need to do. And you'll see there's going to be lots of soccer action at Brown Oak Hill, a lot of orange. It's a lot of fun. It's an awesome environment. And so we hope you'll be able to relax and enjoy that, because things will hopefully be really well organized. All right, so Ed, with that, we let fifth and sixth grade coaches go, and
unless they want to stick around, they can stay.
They're welcome to see what else is going on with the third, fourth, second, etc.
All right, so third and fourth, you're also at Oak Hill, and you have similar kickoff time. So 9 a.m. for third grade, 10:30 for fourth grade. It's the same every week. The only thing that might change will be the field you are on. I think we're kind of between A1, A2, and B1. I don't think we have the teams for all four fields, but one of three fields. It will be in your schedule. And you also have a weekly practice, which hopefully you've scheduled already with me. If not, please bug me on that, and we'll get something in the practice matrix. The things, again, equal playing time. We're rotating positions as much as possible. Kids, should play goalie at one point during the season. In your 9 games, you could have half each. So 18 goalkeepers. If you've got 15 on the roster, some kid might only do one half, but try and get everyone exposed to everything as best you can. The rules document that will link some stuff specific to third and fourth grade. Like if the ball goes over the end line and it's a goal kick, the team playing out, so the team that kicked it out will have to retreat behind halfway to allow the goal kicking team. That was terribly worded, but you know what I mean. To play out. But you can see some specific rules in the document there, and I will share this as well before we jump out on Saturday. The rules document, because I think it's important. And Mark and Catherine did a really great job putting these teams together quickly as our coordinators. So thank you to them. The bags, if you don't pick up beforehand, Zach, I imagine we'll stick them somewhere in between, right? Maybe at the little parking lot behind Oak Hill there, or maybe in the cross between all four, A1, A2, B1, B2, somewhere. You'll see them, and you can grab a bag per team for yours to keep for the season. You have referees, so with a few minutes before kickoff time, the referees will ask you to check the teams in. They'll do the walkout. They'll lead that. They're getting trained this week on sort of the protocols for games, and then you're away. And that's it for third and fourth. So if you don't have any questions, and you'll see the teams only and the spectator sidelines as well, to kind of, that's kind of a nice one because you're all in the middle and they're on the outsides. Okay. So third and fourth, you're free to go unless you have questions that you want to stick on at the end. Second grade. So second grade is slightly different. If anyone went through first grade and experienced the support we give you with pro coaches, this is a continuation of that. We are finally confirming our professional coach provider for second grade. But there'll be a couple of guys who will be there every morning, every Saturday, between the C fields. So you're working on the C field, C1, C2, C3, and C4. And typically what will happen is in the rotating schedule, your start time is indicated there, right? It's usually 8:30 every 45 minutes. We have a start time. 2 teams will arrive on one field. So there'll be a 8:30 start time on C1 for 2 teams. You'll arrive, there'll be a professional coach there waiting for you. And for the first 25, 26, 27 minutes, that pro coach will work with both teams with your support. So hopefully, 3 to 5 adults to two teams. And they'll lead them through a couple of different exercises, a couple of different drills, a couple of different technical games, both as an opportunity to be coached by a professional, but also a good opportunity to get a real good technical warm up in, and also an opportunity for you to see a coach in action and kind of learn from them and pick up some tips and tricks for hopefully your future in coaching. So the professional coach will be there for two teams, work for 25 minutes with them both, which means a large number of kids, right? So really important that you get involved in a part of that process and not just stand back and watch whoever it is do their thing. He'll lead it with your support. After that 25 to 30-minute session, the referees will arrive and the check-in process will begin as would be for any other grade, and you'll go play your game against each other. The away team will put the black pennies on. You'll play two 20-minute halves with a 5-minute halftime, and then you're done. So there's a 75-minute block, kind of split into two kind of sections with some pro coach support. After the little technical exercises they do with you, they move on to the next field, so they don't stick around. So once the technical exercise is done, they'll hand back to you and say, "Good luck, coach," and you go play your game. We're 5v5. So you have a goalkeeper plus your four on the field. We recommend a diamond formation. One defender, two middies, and a forward. Super hot on equal playing time here. You're rotating players through and making sure they see everything. And these goals do go missing. So if you're on the 8:30 time slot, make sure you plan to arrive early, check the goals are there. If you got the later slots, you should be all set. But making sure that we are set up ready to go on time is really important because you only have a brief time with the pros, and maximizing the what you do with them is kind of key to this program.
Yeah, and that thanks, Ed. And that piece is really important, which is, we've hired these pros. They've got 25 minutes. I mean, we want them to start on time. We want the kids, to be there. If there's 4 kids there, we want them to start on time. And if kids are coming in 8 minutes into the session start time, they're going to miss half of the pro coaching. So just another reason to emphasize, being 10 minutes early so that the pros can start on time, so the kids can get the maximum benefit from that. And also you can too, seeing how they're handling their situations and the kids, as opposed to herding cats in terms of, half the people are late. Now, the first week is always chaotic because people don't know what field they're supposed to be on, even though, it's pretty clear, but still it's not clear. So the first week, expect more chaos, but, it should settle in pretty quickly. And we think the pros contribute to the organization tremendously, and we want to leverage them as much as possible.
Yep.
The C fields are kind of spread out. They're 5v5 size fields. The goals have field numbers on them, C1 or C2 or whatever. But I would share this map so people know where they're going and what they're kind of looking for. And then, trying to make sure we try and make sure the goals are on the right field, so it's pretty clear. But there's a lot going on. So the whole point of arriving early is so we can start on time and get the most out of this program. Chris Hayes was our coordinator. We had a lot of late additions in this program. So, we resent the rosters yesterday or so, reaching out to the late additions is kind of helpful at this point. Just making sure everyone knows where they're going and what they're doing, because we want to try and get as many kids playing, and if that means adding kids up until the last week, we want to do it, but we want to also make sure that no one slips through the cracks in terms of knowing where they're going and what they're doing. But Chris did a great job, and I really appreciate him.
Ed, a quick question before anyone else drops off, just to have as many coaches on here as possible. It was a question about first aid materials and whether we supply them. I don't believe we do. I've always had my own little first aid kit that I brought to games. Thankfully, I haven't really needed anything other than the ice pack, which by the time you get to eighth grade, you need a lot of ice packs, unfortunately. Um, and then that's right, though. We don't supply first aid kits, right? And then there was another question about whether fields have defibrillators or not. That one I'm not sure of. Do we know if any of the fields have?
So no, they don't. We don't own any of our fields, so that would be and this is a great question. It's something for a board meeting down the road, but
I had the same thought. Yeah.
we don't have them. I know the schools will have them, but they're not available to the outside use, and we don't own the field, so I don't even know whose jurisdiction that comes into. But there are not AEDs at the fields.
So currently not. Whoever asked the question, though, thank you for it, and we'll make sure we talk about it as a board to see if there's a way we can solve that moving forward.
Sure. Okay,
That's
thank
it.
you, second graders. And then last but by no means least, the base of our program and to some respects the most important age group we have, which is our entry point into the program. NYS begins at first grade. There are kindergarten programs in the city, but our first step is grade one. So a lot of futures in NYS lives and dies by the experience they have in this program. So a little bit more pressure, but it's something that I think is worth mentioning. And the program we try and give the most support and love to as we go through this. So you have we have 4, 8, 12, 16, 4, 8, 12, 12 teams, 3 time slots. So the 12 p.m. slot does not exist, so ignore that. But we do have 3 time slots. And each team has an hour, it has a time slot, and it has a field. So once you are given these, I don't know who edited this spreadsheet document. It's all wrong. If you are so 8:30, 9:45, and 11 a.m. are the time slots, and those times will be in your team name along with the field number. So I think, like the Mavericks 11 a.m. field 3 could be an example, which means each week you're going to be on field 3 at 11 a.m. and you're called the Mavericks. So the idea was to make it as kind of foolproof as possible. There is no rotating schedule in terms of your time and where you're going to be each week. And all our first graders come through the same field in the Hampton. Beautiful spot. Went there today to set up the new goals with Zach. The field looks in amazing shape, and we've got some new goals to play with this season as well. But you're the same each week. And in this program, we also supply professional coaches. We have guys from the New England Revolution Academy. There are 4 fields. There are 4 professional coaches, and they will be there when you arrive. And for the first 30 minutes of your hour session, they will work with your team, with your support, with your help, because, some of the teams are big. Some of the teams are up to 15, 16 players. And they will work with your team exclusively for 30 minutes doing a couple of different exercises on a theme. We supply the curriculum. We will supply the curriculum to them in advance, and we will supply the curriculum to you in advance. So you can see, hey, here's what we're going to kind of work on this Saturday on the field. Here's what the pro coach is gonna do, and hey, I can support this way, and this way. To make sure this is an effective 30-minute practice before you get your team back. You split them into 2 teams of 6 or 8 or 7 or whatever, and then you go play a 4v4 game. So an hour, 30 minutes of practice or technical work with a pro with your support, and then 30 minutes of gameplay, 4v4 for week 1 within your team, and then we'll start getting into rotating around and having you play different teams and making it a bit more interesting each week for the kids. The big emphasis point for this program is, we do supply that pro coach. There is 1 per team, per field, per time slot. But the real crucial part is your engagement in this, right? It's twofold again, as Cliff mentioned. It is for the kids. to get that experience with a paid professional and experience their coaching and their coaching style and their technical sort of knowledge, but also an opportunity for you to see how they do it, whether you're new to coaching or not, and maybe you can pick up some bits and pieces, but also for you to support them so you're part of the process. This grade can be not, it can be chaos, right? First graders are young players. We don't have any control of their programming before this grade, so different levels of ability and knowledge come together when they go play. And having an all hands on deck kind of approach from coaching is kind of crucial to get it both organized and kind of so it's beneficial to everyone. So pro coaches will be there, arrive to your field early, encourage the team to do it too. At start time, we're playing. You get 30 minutes of a pro coach's knowledge, and then you'll go play your 4v4 game. The objective is that I manage a lot of the communication for this program. I'll send you the rotation for the games once we get to that, but I'll also send out the curriculum in advance so you can see it. And then when you arrive, you'll see the field numbers, you'll see the goals, you'll see the pros, and away we go. There is no equipment for this grade group. The pros will bring everything. All we ask you to do is have kids bring a ball. Kids will bring a size 3 soccer ball, but the pros will bring pennies, they'll bring the goals, they'll have their own cones. So really it's show up, be part of it for a big hour, and then leave as you arrived. Zach, you're nodding, so that makes sense to you, but
It makes sense to me, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Cliff, anything to add there? If you're there.
I'm here. I got to figure out the button. What happened?
Are we here? No, we don't hear you. All right, there is a rules document as well, which will kind of cover some stuff. But in terms of gameplay, you'll go play 4v4. The idea in first grade is we keep the game going as quickly as possible. We don't have referees. That's something you can manage from the sidelines. We want the ball to be in play as much as possible. You don't really need a halftime. If you have subs, you can just keep rotating the kids in and out. And goalkeeper. I think that's kind of it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. First grade, it's organized chaos. The kids are running around. They're chasing this ball. It's continuous play. So you just sort of continuously roll the ball out there. I remember the ball would go out of bounds and we'd retrieve it and then we'd just throw it to the other end of the field. Don't just roll it into the 8 kids that are huddling together. Send them chasing the ball and have a lot of fun with it. And start to get into soccer. You got 1 hour to do an hour-long program, so the timing is tight, but it's a lot of fun.
Okay,
and that's more or less the program, right, Ed?
That's more or less the program. Okay, if there's any questions, please fire them in. I mean, you'll be bombarded with emails from me about this program. We want to make sure it's a positive one. So, we're going to over communicate in terms of kind of what you can expect, what the curriculum is, how we're going to do games, and any questions you just have to say. And then Anna Snyder was the late addition to the coordinating group. I just nailed it. Did a great job putting these teams together, so we really appreciate her. There were a lot of late ads in this group, right? Kids who came in late, and we kind of snuck them into spaces we saw. So we sent the rosters again yesterday. If there's a new player on your team, please make sure you reach out and just add them into whatever you're doing for communication, if you're using TeamSnap or email, just so they know where they're going and what time. And I will be there for the first round of games Saturday. And with that, what are we doing? I'm saying that's a 90-minute. Just kept my promise.
Yeah, it's a lot of information. We appreciate you guys all sticking through it. Like Ed said this will be sent, it'll be posted, it'll be available. We're available. Soccer is upon us, and hopefully the weather gods cooperate, and away we go. Board, thank you for participating. Everybody that participated, Jothi and Costas and David, thank you. Ed, Zach, as always. You guys run a great meeting.
My pleasure. Thanks, Cliff. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you at the weekend.